DMK is unlike any skincare company on earth. Named after visionary founder Danae Montague King, DMK is committed to providing individualized products and treatment plans that heal skin on the cellular level, whether the condition concerns pigmentation, acne, inflammation, or signs of aging. DMK is home to the original enzyme mask, the game-changing formula that sends oxygenating, tightening, and exfoliating signals into the skin to enact changes in skin structures from the inside out. At DMK, we believe everyone deserves to feel the confidence that comes with healthy, beautiful skin. Learn more at DanaeMKing.com. That's DANNEM King.com. Are you interested in providing results-driven treatment services? Join a team of like-minded individuals who share your passion and support your success. With more than 1,000 franchised locations in 49 states, Massage Envy is not only the nation's #1 provider of massage services collectively across its franchise network, but also a national leader in skincare. Start or grow your career at a Massage Envy franchised location. Visit massageenvy.com/SDcareers for full details.
Hello and welcome to ASCP Esty Talk. I'm Ella Cressman, licensed esthetician, certified organic skincare formulator, and content contributor for Associated Skincare Professionals.
I am Maggie Staszcuk, licensed esthetician and ASCP's program director.
Hey, do you watch Love is Blind?
No.
You don't? Okay.
Reality TV.
Yes. My fave. So I watch all the seasons, and this last season just wrapped up recently, but it got me thinking about a couple of things. And the reason that this is appropriate is because one of the, I don't want to call it contestants, but one of the people who participated in the experiment is an esthetician.
Okay.
So just so you know, it's like people who, there's X amount of females, X amount of males, they get together, they meet in these pods, and in these pods, they're supposed to develop non-visual attraction. And then from there, they decide, if they're compatible, they get engaged, then they see each other for the first time. You have to just try one season, one episode.
Does it work?
That's the experiment. And that's like the whole thing is love blind? Are you able to have these connections developed in the pods that withstand once you see each other visually? And so I think earlier in the season, there was a higher success rate, or I don't know, maybe like 2 or 3 people throughout each season out of 5 or 6 couples make it to the altar. And then afterwards.
And then they get divorced?
I don't know if there's been a divorce, but there's been babies, but probably. So I guess the answer is Love Blind is for the ages, but here we go. One of the things that is interesting about the show is that they take different sections of society. And on this show in particular, there was an esthetician, very successful esthetician, gorgeous, really cute. But what jogged for me is I was like, oh, we're being represented as a profession. Because I think for a long time, we were there and we were known, but it was such a small profession early on. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, totally. Totally would agree. It's exploded, though, I think.
Totally. And so that got me to my next point is, here's the thing, Maggie, the streets are talking. And a lot of what they're saying is on social media. And I know you're not on these, so I'm going to tell you. I'm your translator for what's going on there.
Loop me in, girl.
Your reporter. So there's been a lot of talk on chit chat on social media, and especially this year. And I think there's a lot of contributing factors for it. But there is I'm not busy. I'm not getting my books. Why could that be? And we have to acknowledge that there's a lot of things that happen. We've seen it time and time again, is that things do slow down in an election year, and we're just coming out of that now. And there's also this, I don't know, there's inflation, there's all these other considerations. But what we're blaming, or what I wouldn't say our profession, but what a lot of practitioners are saying is that there is an oversaturation. And so because the industry is now saturated and there's more estheticians than ever before, that's the reason not everybody's busy.
Interesting. Blame game.
Yeah, that must be it, because everybody else went to school. And so there's a couple of thoughts that I had on the subject, because when we went to school, there were a lot less professional estheticians, but there was also a lot less people who wanted professional aesthetic services.
Yeah, I think the idea of what an esthetician was when we went to school is so different than what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. The idea of going to an esthetician, even I think when we were in school, was that was you had something that needed to be treated, or it was a special occasion. You were getting a facial. Oh, it's your birthday,
Yeah.
And now you do have them on every corner. And it could be this one's a waxer, this one's doing your lashes, or it's a resort spa.
Yes, way different, way diversified. I would agree. I can see how some people would blame, as you said, her words, that you would blame every other reason than just maybe some other circumstances. But if you look, there's also people who are booked solid and they're booked out for weeks. Now, some of those people are still saying I'm not as booked as before, but I think that's just circumstantial, and it's this wave of up and down. So today I thought it would be really great to take a real look at our industry, and maybe we call it the state of the industry deep dive, if you will. What do you think about that?
Love it.
So here's some statistics. The average age of estheticians in the United States is around 41 years old.
That sounds right.
That feels good to me. Feels great to me because we're in, one of us might be a little bit older than that. But when I was looking into the statistic, I do want to point out that there is no age limit for beauty professionals, but they're around our age. It's interesting too, because I had a conversation with a brand the other day, and it was this younger employees, and they were saying to the owner, I just don't know if it's going to jive with our demographic. I'm like, what is your demographic? Can you define what your demographic are? Who are you going to be, targeting? And so they were thinking that they wanted to target younger estheticians. So I came back with this statistic. I was like, well, did you know? So it was very interesting, the perspective. In our sister industry, we have hairdressers. And the average age of male hairdressers, hairstylists, and cosmetologists in the workforce is 44. And female hairdressers, hairstylists, and cosmetologists is 40. So I'm curious if that's the average age. Of course, we don't have a statistic on the gender difference in aesthetics, but what that has to do with also people getting in the industry younger and then moving on to a different field.
I wonder if people are hearing this stat and saying, well, these 40-year-old estheticians have been in the industry for a long time. Of course, they're booked solid. They've had all of these years to learn the industry, build their client base. Here I am, the 20-something, and I've lost my opportunity.
Ah, interesting. I didn't take it like that. No, I don't think. I wonder if it's not because when we went to school and let's just say it, we're in that age group, but that was the dawn of the popularity. And so we have been there a long time. But I also think that aesthetics is a career where you kind of enter in as a second career.
Totally. I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But if people are arguing that this industry is now saturated, then I can see the argument for if I'm entering it now, how do I find a place for myself in the industry that there is an esthetician on every corner?
What would you say then? What if somebody said, how do I differentiate myself?
You differentiate yourself by finding your niche.
Yep, I would say that too. I'd also say it kind of goes back to what we spoke about with Tina in our Community Over Competition podcast, and that was that your people will find you too. And so getting out and I think a lot of times newer estheticians think if they put it on Instagram, then if you post it, they will come. But it's not necessarily true. The majority of your business is going to come from people in real life that you contact or you have interaction with too. So keep that in mind and then find your niche and network. So we don't have a statistic for male estheticians necessarily like we do hairstylists, because I think as the industry grows, so does the interest and the idea of the opportunity. So 98% of estheticians are females. Do you think this is changing like with Mecca? Mecca is that men's esthetician conference and associates that is hosted by Moto in Arizona. There's a more awareness, or I think there's a growing opportunity. I see a lot more male practitioners and they seem to be in higher profile roles. What do you think?
I think it has already changed. I don't have anything to base this on, but the trade shows that I go to, the classes that I go to, there are always male estheticians. So maybe these men that I'm seeing out in the industry are only that 2%. I'm not sure, but it certainly seems like more and more men are entering the industry.
I think so too. And I wonder how that will, as we said, we've seen it change. We've seen the desire or the need for aesthetic services, the demand grow. I wonder if having a more diversity in gender roles in this industry, not gender roles, but in gender, will encourage even more demand across many different lines.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think so.
I remember early on having male clients being so clandestine about coming, and they would look around and see who saw them come in. And I would have to tell them, it's a treatment. It's not a facial. You're okay. And now like the male clientele I have are just so not concerned about that.
Yeah, no, it is normal.
Mm-hmm. So the perception has changed.
Yes.
Just same as saturation.
Hold that thought. We'll be right back.
Ella, Australian-born, globally loved. Ella story is simple. They love lashes and brows. They shoot for the stars and lift lashes to new heights. Their addiction is real, their passion is popping, and there is nothing more they crave than offering excellence, service, and innovation in products. Ella Lash Lift allows you to offer your customers luscious, lifted lashes that can last up to 12 weeks in one safe 20-minute treatment. Learn more at ellibana-usa.com.
Okay, here we go. Let's get back to the podcast.
Here's an interesting statistic. You mentioned like these older estheticians having been more established, but did you know 90% of estheticians have actually been in the field for less than 12 years, and 73% have participated fewer than 5 years?
I can believe that because I think the industry is still very young. So to be in the field for less than 12 years, aesthetics has been around for decades. It's a very ancillary, at the time, it was a very ancillary profession. And so I would say in the last 10 to 15 years, people really started to seek out aesthetics as a career. And in the last 10 to 5 years, it has become more and more popular and it's gaining traction. And so now we're seeing all of these young students who are wanting to become estheticians. And I think these stats support that.
Yes, because of the 73%. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense to me. Why do you think, so that I was thinking in a different way. I was thinking, are people leaving the industry? But I'm glad for your perspective. But can we look at the glass half empty for a second?
Yeah.
And say, could it be that they just don't know how to market themselves, or they're not waiting long enough to build their clientele? Or are they burning out early? What do you think of that?
Yeah, all of the above. I think that a lot of people enter this industry for whatever their personal reason is. And because this is not a salaried position, right? So it takes time to build that client base. And depending on your personal situation, you maybe can't wait for that client base to build, and you don't have the funds to wait, and you have to leave the industry, or you have to get that second and third job, or maybe you're not in a position to have 2 or 3 side gigs. You have a family to support, you've got kids, or whatever your situation, and you end up leaving the aesthetics industry, or you had a glorified idea of what aesthetics was, and it's not coming quick enough.
Can we go back to that glorified idea? Because I think that's key. I think there's a place for all of these new estheticians, male, female, everyone. But I think that there is an idea that all I have to do is rent a room and decorate it cute and we're good. And we've talked to other guests about that before too. Like that's a perception, like then you put your hand out and wait for people to come in and see you. And I think what was interesting is yesterday I was talking to my financial advisor and solidifying some things. I was rolling over an IRA. And I wish that I would have done that earlier. I wish I would have been contributing since I was younger, but here we are. However, my mindset was still in that of a newer esthetician financially, of, okay, that scarcity almost mindset where I'm like, okay, what if everybody stops coming to me tomorrow? And so I had this conversation with my financial advisor too, and we're able to work through it. But even now, I'm established, I'm good. But thinking that it's more than just how things look, you have to have a plan and you have to roll with things and you have to be ready to scale. You have to have those things in place. And then on the flip side of that, this is an aesthetic industry. You briefly mentioned a few different procedures, but let's talk about each of us have played different roles in the industry too. So if a practicing esthetician may feel limiting, there are so many other opportunities. And I can just think of at least 4 roles that you've played. You've been an esthetician in a spa. You've been in a med spa. You've been a director of education for school, and now you're program director for ASCP.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of opportunity there. And I think if that's something that interests you, you don't be afraid to seek that out.
Yeah, 100%. My perspective, which is a little bit biased, but you have people entering aesthetic school because they want to be an esthetician. They're not entering aesthetic school thinking, I can't wait to become program director, right? To use that as an example. But, it's very easy to look at the industry and say, wow, look at this trend. It is huge. People are booked solid. They're charging X amount of dollars. I want to get in on that. Or medical aesthetics, for instance, is booming. Everybody wants in on that. And they're seeing the dollar signs. Let's be real. It's very easy to dream about this and think, wow, how easy would it be? I'm just going to rent this little room. I can do it too. School is only so many hours. I want in on that. I would be amazing as an esthetician. I would be amazing business owner. But then you actually get your feet dirty and you dig in and you do it. It's not easy. It's work. Even if you are working for a spa, however they're paying you, hourly, commission, it doesn't matter. You truly are still a business owner. And that's not easy either. You have to put yourself out there. You have to get those clients coming in to see you to then want to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you don't just sit there and wait, whether you're an employee or a solopreneur. Absolutely. I agree with you wholeheartedly. So let's just assume that this is oversaturated, this industry. So I have another question. Let's look at job outlook. Is the industry becoming oversaturated or harder to break into because of influencers, doctors, and other people that you're saying they also see this and they're skipping that step? They're either established physicians who now want a piece of that pie, that aesthetic pie, or they're influencers who are taking an easier route on social media and gaining followers and presenting these things. So what do you think about that?
I don't know if they are making it harder for the new esthetician to break into the industry, but I think they are skewing perspective for that prospective student or prospective esthetician. You get on social media and you see that influencer who doesn't necessarily have the training, but they're holding up this bottle of whatever, selling it essentially is what they're doing as an influencer, getting all of these followers and then also getting kickback and again, glorifying the industry. And somebody's watching this thinking, oh my God, I want to do that. I could do that. I'm going to go to aesthetic school. I want to be an influencer. I could sell product.
I could do it better.
I could do it better. Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at just this growth. Let's start with 2018. According to some statistics, it's obvious that the number of estheticians has grown significantly, especially we keep mentioning in the last 10 years. And here's the thing is that it's projected to continue growing at a faster rate than many other occupations. So in 2018, there was 71,800 estheticians employed.
That's crazy.
it's crazy. It also doesn't sound like as many. In 2028, the number of estheticians is expected to grow another significant amount, and then we're basically having an 11% increase and then keep going on the next 10 years. Relative to other professions, they're seeing like 3% increase. And then in 2033, the employment of skincare specialists is projected to grow by 10% from 2023. So 9 years from now, or almost 8 years. So this is much faster than all other, the average for all other occupations. And it's expected to continue as more men seek out aesthetic services, as millennials, Gen Z, Gen Alpha age, and they become less preventative and more corrective, which is interesting. And then also that generation is already acceptant of self-care. It's already interwoven. We don't have to sell them on that. So something to keep in mind is that estheticians can work in a variety of settings. We kind of mentioned that: spas, salons, hotels, dermatologist offices, but also cruise ships and even on film sets, which is interesting. So here's the thing. The industry is always changing, especially in the last 20 years. Look at eyelash extensions, spray tan specialists, makeup artists, med spas. Those are all parts of our industry that have grown incredibly. If anything, I predict that the recognition will continue. And does that mean a type of saturation will take place? Maybe, but I still say there is a place for every face. Now, listeners, we really want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the state of the industry? Reach out via Instagram, Facebook, or send us an email at getconnected@ascpskincare.com. We want to know all the details. In the meantime, thank you for listening to ASCP Esty Talk. For more information on this episode, or for ways to connect with Maggie or myself, or to learn more about ASCP, check out the show notes. And stay tuned for the next episode of ASCP Esty Talk.